Welcome, everybody, to another episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, here with my pal, and the man who once won Harriest Horcrux at PotterCon. It's Stephen Robles. How you doing, man?
Oh, I believe it or not, I've never seen Harry Potter. I know that might be sacrilege to some people, but I don't know what a Horcrux is. I don't know what that is. Is that an animal? Is that a kind of person? What is that?
Oh, we're not going into that whole thing.
No,
You're just gonna have
okay.
to give it a goog.
Give it a goog. Probably worth a Google.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see the Lego Batman movie?
I sure did.
It's a good movie. You should share that with your child one day. You can watch it together.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, well, what are we talking about today? HomeKit?
Well,
I guess.
I guess we'll start with some HomeKit, but we do have a special guest, and we have been trying to book them for literally like months, and they've always had something else going on. But they are stopping by today. Let's see. They can't get their Zoom to work.
Oh,
what is wrong with it? Why can't get they Zoomed?
Oh, we're not. Yeah.
That's fine. Hold on.
Okay,
we'll just bring them all in.
Just bring them on. Just bring them on here. Oh my goodness, who is this? Oh my goodness, it is a baby in a skeleton outfit.
Yes.
Wow.
Faith is here too. She came to say hi.
Hey, Faith.
Harrison
she can't hear me, but
yeah,
that is amazing.
Say hi to you.
Hi, listeners. Go to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can see Andrew's child on camera, live. That is a human child
who is wiggling something crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go, buddy.
That's amazing.
Say hi real quick.
Hey.
He's
that's
very
amazing.
busy. He's got a lot of speaking engagements to do. Yeah,
of course.
He's
talking about
busy
HomeKit.
Little fella.
He's a keynote speaker
on all things.
He's
going
to
go lecture on HomeKit now.
Oh, yeah,
that's
he's
right.
A pro.
He is a pro. Yeah. I could already tell. He wants all the HomeKits.
So wiggly this morning. Yes. He's like, I want more HomeKit stuff in my room.
That's exactly amazing.
First words. It was a whole sentence. It was very impressive.
Already. If his first word is HomeKit, that would be it. That would be the thing. That's amazing. Congrats, man. It's been over a week. It's very cool. Very cool. Well, I hope he makes another appearance much later. When he has a HomeKit thoughts and HomeKit reviews. Maybe he can review Matter. I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe Matter will finally be out when he can actually talk and review things. Sorry, I had to stick that in. Yep, had to do it. Well, very cool. Watch the episode on YouTube so you can see Andrew's baby. There you go. Well, we have a bunch of news. We should get to it. A quick 5-star review shout-outs. Bo Lucky from Norway. D. Barnby from Great Britain. And I'm going to say this name as best I can and as fast as I can. This is a 5-star review from 715-1433-166-8154-1890. I don't think that would be a number that's a problem to say on the air. I mean, it's not an address. It's not a social security number. I don't know what that is, but thanks for the review. And they had a question we'll get to hopefully later. So thanks for those 5-star reviews. All right. Also, now I have a surprise for you, Andrew. This is going to be fun right here.
Boy.
I'm excited for this. Because the first piece of news is the new Ikea Hub is going to be available November 1st. We talked about it on a past episode, but it's now officially coming out as you listen to this episode tomorrow. So if you listen to this episode Monday, tomorrow will be November 1st. This is the Ikea Smart Hub replacing their old hub. And the new hub is called
Dirigible.
Did you hear that?
What? What
Did
was
you
that?
hear that? I'm going to play this again. This is from a faithful listener, Christopher, from Sweden. He sent audio clips of how to pronounce these different IKEA products. And so I'm not going to try and pronounce them anymore on the air. There's no reason for me to do it. I'm just going to play him saying it whenever I need to say the IKEA
Dirigera
Hub. What do you think of that? That's pretty good,
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced dirigible. I'm not sweet. I'm pretty sure it's dirigible.
He's all this hub, which is the
Dirigera,
is replacing IKEA's
Trådfri
hub. In case you missed that, the old hub was called
Trådfri,
and the new hub is called
Dirigera.
There you go. That's all you need to know about pronunciation. Thanks, Christopher. That was great. If I'm mispronouncing your name, you need to send a clip of you saying your own name. because that could be totally wrong. Because I don't think we've ever said IKEA's products like that. So we've probably never pronunciated them correctly.
Pronunciated them, yes.
Pronunciated. So anyway.
Yeah, so this actually, it escaped early. It was available in Germany like last week. And we didn't cover it on AI, I think just because it wasn't available stateside yet. But it came out early in Germany. And yeah, and then like Monday or something, we got like the PR that's like official, coming out on time, beginning of November. So pretty exciting.
That is exciting. So that is the IKEA
Dirigera
Hub. So I had to play one more time. Okay, very good. Also, Aqara, they have some new vertical blinds coming out. This is going to be kind of some of those floor-to-ceiling long blinds you might use for like a sliding door, or maybe just have a really big window, I guess, like a floor-to-ceiling window. But they're vertical blinds. This is a new system. Anything Aqara will work with HomeKit. Of course, you need the Aqara Hub. I think I'm pronouncing Aqara correctly. I don't think I need a recording for that. But multiple colors, no pricing or release date, unfortunately. And the other thing with Aqara is sometimes these products are released in the U.S., sometimes not. So hopefully these do come to the U.S., but nice to have an option for floor-to-ceiling blinds. Pretty nondescript, like you do see the motor on the outside, like in the top track. But again, should be pretty nondescript. And yeah, hopefully this comes out in the U.S. That's all about that. I want to play those IKEA pronunciations again, but I really don't have a reason to, so I'm not going to do that. Now, this is interesting. So there's a couple iOS update related things. First of all, iOS 16.1 was released last Monday, so a week ago. Everybody updated that, and macOS Ventura, iPadOS 16.1. Then the betas came out, but we're going to talk about 16.2 in a second. 16.1, which you now have, does talk about the fateful matter. So, Andrew, what is the matter? What's the matter with 16.1? What is that?
Yeah, we basically talked about this a little bit last week. But yeah, the biggest thing here is Matter is included in this update for all of your devices. It's been beta since 15. Now here it is fully flushed out since Matter's been certified in 16.1. Aside from 16.1 that we had previously talked about, Apple also updated its guidelines for its developer guidelines, and it says this: apps that support Matter must use Apple's support framework for Matter to initiate pairing. In addition, if you choose to use any Matter software component in your app other than the Matter SDK provided by Apple, the software component must be certified by the Connectivity Standards Alliance for the platform it runs on. So not anything too crazy here, but basically it's kind of making sure everything is staying in the proper guidelines and that they're actually following all of Apple's rules. And I like that they're using Apple's like pairing process. Just this should be so smooth. We should get like just a Matter accessory. You scan the code and it's added to the home app. All that stuff that we talked about before, like during the beta phase of like special profiles that need downloaded in that Matter section instead of settings, it's all gone. It's not a thing. Everything should just show up in the home app like it normally would.
So that would be nice. So again, we still need to get our first Matter product in hand to test this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like there's nothing for sale just yet where we can get it and say this is Matter and I can scan the code and it goes to the home app and it all works. Is there anything that we could like buy to try out that we know of?
I don't believe so. Obviously one of the first ones is what we just talked about, the new IKEA Hub. I can't remember what it's called though.
Oh, hold on. I got to go back to that. It is the
Dirigera.
So give you a freaking layup.
Oh, sorry. I didn't have the media board pulled up. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, yes. That's going to be one of the first ones here. We should see products very soon. I'll say that. I think we'll see products very soon. A lot of the earlier ones are HomeKit stuff already, like Eve. What I'm interested in is I'm excited to like.
Oh, good. Sorry, go ahead.
I was still going.
You were still going. Sorry, you froze. I couldn't tell.
I think what I'm excited to see is like I'm excited to see like the Google stuff. You know, see if how it works natively with HomeKit. Some of that stuff that won't work natively before, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha. This is for Andrew, but listeners, you can hear it too. I turned off I put on low data mode in the recording. This way we can still hear each other. The recording is unaffected. So just so you know, if I disappear, it's just so there's no more freezing. That's all. You can still hear me though, right?
I can still hear you. Wonderful.
Now, iOS 16.2, I've seen screenshots floating around Twitter, which the developer beta is out. And when you upgrade to iOS 16.2, it looks like there is an entire new HomeKit backend. And there's a prompt when you update to 16.2 that it says, do you want to update all of your home devices? And this will increase reliability and stability, but seems to be like an entire backend change. And I'm a little wary about that. I've seen some people say like, don't do this beta because if this changes your entire home thing, like you might not, whatever. But also, I know we've had many listeners talk about reliability issues, especially with HomePod Mini and some of their automations. So maybe this will fix some of that, but just not yet. What can you tell me about 16.2 and this whole backend change?
Yeah, so this was one of the things that we saw promised for iOS 16. It didn't make it in 16, nor 16.1. And what was funny is we literally had somebody on Twitter like, hey, have you noticed anything faster? And we're like, nah, not really. And now we know why. It's because it was pushed to 16.2. And so I did this, of course, for all of you out there. And like you said, Stephen, don't do it. Just
don't
wait.
Do it.
Okay? So, yeah, once you upgrade to 16.2, it's be like, hey, you can't do this until all your home hubs are updated. For me, it was only saying that my home pods need to be updated despite the prevalence of Apple TVs in this home. It didn't need me to update my Apple TVs, only my home pods for whatever reason. So I went ahead and updated all my home pods to 16.2. I updated some of the Apple TVs just because why not? And then I updated all of my personal devices, iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, because while those don't need to be updated to update your architecture, you do have to update those to continue to use them to control your home. So if you updated all of your home pods, you migrated to the new architecture, but you didn't upgrade like your Apple Watch or your Mac or your iPad, those devices will no longer be able to control your home until they are updated to, I believe, watchOS like 9.2, macOS 13.1, because we're on 13.1 for that update, iPadOS 16.2, all of that stuff. So that's something to be aware of. The other thing, too, is anyone else in your home. So, for me, I've got Faith. When I upgrade, she was not able to control the home until like her phone was updated alongside. And you have to think about every other home that you're like sharing, which makes it complicated.
Right.
So, I have my parents' home on there. They only have like a handful of HomeKit devices, but I still have like their home shared on there. And when I did the upgrade, it's like you won't be able to control that other home until they update theirs. And I thought that was so confusing. Like, why can't I, like, if I'm switching homes in the Home app, why can't one be updated and one not? But for some reason, it just breaks the machine and it doesn't work.
That's weird.
So it's another like kind of asterisk to put on this. But once you get through all of this, a lot of prompts, takes a few minutes to update the architecture, and you should have a faster, more responsive HomeKit home. And I'm sure you're wondering, Andrew, do you have a faster and more responsive HomeKit home?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I think the biggest changes that I've noticed are with scenes with like multiple accessories.
Okay.
Because like setting the good night scene, it would almost seem like HomeKit was like running through a list. It's like, yep, turn off the mantle, turn off the ceiling lights, turn off the patio lights, turn off this, lock the door. And it would like almost go through like just a list of like steps. And sometimes it would take a little bit longer to do. But now with this update, it seems to be like everything's happening almost at once. Like I say, good night. And then like almost immediately, like my door is locking and the lights are going off and it feels faster. Controlling a single accessory, I'm not seeing a difference. Like, I'm trying to think of like a good example, but anything that I tried to control, it just felt like it was already as fast as it was like before. just like a single accessory. Like I've demoed stuff on the show, like the Thread air purifier, and it looked really quick, to update. And I'm not seeing like any difference in that with like the new update. Like we got that, the Hue light behind me, and I can like tap it. See, I'm waiting for Hue. That didn't go off. The light's still hanging out, but that's going to be on the Hue Hub versus the HomeKit side of things. So, see, okay, now dimming's working, color changing, everything works quickly now. But it doesn't seem like any faster than when I had before. So single accessories don't seem like they are significantly quicker, but I think larger scenes and automations are running it notably faster than they were before this update. The last thing that I'll say about it is, again, why I'm saying don't do this. We had some issues with Faith's device. I don't think right now she has basically access to the home, and it's screwy. So after the update, I go to her phone and I update her phone, and we open the home app, and it's like, you can't do this until all of your homes are updated. She had still a second home from years ago when she had her own apartment.
Oh my goodness.
So no longer using this home. She probably didn't even realize that it was still hanging around in the home app as a separate home. So we go in there and we remove that home. Like, we're not using it anymore. We don't even have this device anymore. We remove that home. So you think, okay, that home is gone. She only has our home as the one in there, and everything should be controlled perfectly. No, it just says like, you have no homes. It like created like a blank home and put her in there without access to our home that was like gone at the same time. Like, okay, so I believe I removed her from the home and tried to re-add her, and now on like my device, it's like it said invitation sent. I saw the alert pop up on her phone. I accepted it. Does it show in the home app? No, she's still got no homes in the home app. But as far as I can see, she's like a resident of our home. So there's some weird things going on.
That is weird.
Hopefully the next beta comes along. She can still use HomePods and everything to control stuff. But, this is why these are betas, and why people who aren't doing this for all of you should wait. Everyone should wait until this comes out. But it does seem like it's faster.
Okay. Don't update it now, but it's better. Okay. And hopefully that might actually address some of the questions later for our listeners that are struggling with automation specifically and responsiveness, I think, with scenes. Maybe this update will fix a lot of that, but not yet. Don't do it yet. I imagine this will come out before the end of the year. I imagine next month, but, not who knows for sure. But we should see it soon. Speaking of another beta product, but something that everyone can access right now without messing up their entire home, is the Icloud website. So if you go to iCloud.com, actually you go to beta.icloud.com, you can see the brand new design for the iCloud web portal, basically. If you ever signed into iCloud.com, you probably had some reason to do it. It was feeling a little antiquated, basically like rounded app icons, and sometimes navigating it could be a little funny. So it's totally redesigned. Like, this is a complete redesign. I'm going to share an image, or at least two images real quick. I'm not sure if Andrew will be able to see this, but this will be in the YouTube. This is
those all of your passwords?
Yeah, that's every single one of my passwords right there. That's right. This is the new homepage for iCloud Beta. It's customizable, which is really cool. So you could basically put different widgets. You can put your iCloud Drive, your mail, like your email, and you can jump right to see your inbox right there for your iCloud mail. You can add your calendar events. So very nice that the homepage is customizable. Very cool. Now, how is this HomeKit related? Well, glad you asked. If you click the kind of menu, like when you click your profile icon in the top right, there is a pull-down menu, and it says iCloud Plus features. And underneath custom email domain, private relay, there is HomeKit Secure Video as a menu option. Now, nothing happens just yet when you click this. It basically just tells you what HomeKit Secure Video is. But I am hopeful that this menu in the iCloud beta portal, that might mean in the near future, you'll be able to access your HomeKit Secure Video cameras from the web. Maybe both stream, but at the very least, download some clips from your HomeKit Secure video camera recordings. And I think this would bring HomeKit Secure Video closer to feature parity. I mean, it's not really close. I mean, I know when you talk about Arlo and 2K resolution and some of the other customizations you can do with those other security cameras that are still HomeKit but not HomeKit Secure Video. I know that HomeKit Secure Video has a long way to go as far as features, but I think the ability to go to the web portal and hopefully download video clips more than just one at a time and make it easier to download those clips. Because I will say, when you want to save a recording from a HomeKit Secure Video camera, it can be a little bit of a pain. You do kind of have to scrub back and forth, find the specific clip, maybe with movement or when the camera caught something. And then there's like a share button, but kind of, and the timeline can be real wonky. Sometimes it like snaps back and forth. So just overall, like it's not a great experience trying to save a video clip from a HomeKit Secure Video camera. But if you had the option to just go to iCloud.com, click your HomeKit Secure Video, see your cameras, go to a camera, and just select an individual clip and hit download, and it just saves the movie file, that would be a welcome feature. And it'd be nice to see multiple cameras at the same time. You know, if you could see those live feeds right on the iCloud website, or at least jump into each individual camera. So the features I'm talking about has not been announced or teased or anything, but I'm just reading the tea leaves, reading into this iCloud menu that is now live when you go to beta.icloud.com. It does say HomeKit Secure Video in that little sidebar, and I'm hoping this feature comes out. Andrew, do you think this is a wishful thinking, or do you think this is a possibility?
Is there something more than wishful thinking? Like, what's above wishful
there's
thinking?
There's hopeful thinking, in educated guess thinking.
I think hope means there's a sign this might happen.
Right.
I'm leaning more away from that. I don't think this is happening. Okay. Because it's on the iCloud website, so I think they're trying to tout the iCloud Plus features, making you feel you're getting your money's worth. And like when you go into those pages, it literally has a whole section only on your devices. Some of your iCloud Plus features can only be on your Apple device, and one of those is listed as HomeKit Secure Video, like on the beta site. And it's alongside like the private relay, the family sharing thing, like all those other ones that are on your device only. So I don't think I would love it. There have been times where back in ye old times where I had to work on a work controlled computer or a PC or something like that, and I needed to access iCloud stuff before, and having access online to stuff like the recordings would be super helpful. But I don't think it's gonna show up on iCloud.com anytime super soon. If it does at all. Okay.
I'm going to hold out hope. This will be a race. Will the first Matter device be released, or
we're going to go the Did you see that stuff with the UK Prime Minister and like which one's going to last longer, the new Prime Minister or a head of cabbage? That's that's what I feel like this is. Also, the head of cabbage won in that case, but that's what I like. Okay, it's going to be a race. What's going to happen first? Is my child going to graduate college, or is Stephen going to get HomeKit Secure Video on iCloud.com? We don't know. But
I think HSV would come to iCloud before 18 years from now, or 22 years from now. Depends. Maybe your child is a prodigy and they graduate college at like age 13, which I don't know. I don't know if 13 years is enough time, but. Anyway, well, I was reading into that, and I'm hoping for it because I would like that. That is all. Now, I wanted to do a quick Apple TV follow-up because I had a couple listeners tweet at me asking, should they upgrade their Apple TV to the new 2022 model that was just released that will be available this Friday as you listen to this episode. That is actually the launch day, November 4th. I have one coming, but to be clear, I think the two models that were released this year have caused some confusion. So I think, and you can add to this if you'd like to think it needs more clarity, but if you bought last year's Apple TV 4K model, which is the 2021 model, it had the A13, I believe, and it had Thread and the new Siri remote. If you bought that Apple TV and you're thinking, should I upgrade to the new high-end Apple TV, meaning the $150 current model? What are you getting if you upgrade to that higher-end model? If you upgrade to the new one, you're only getting a faster processor, which is the A15, so you do get a faster processor, and HDR10 Plus, which, how do you know you need HDR10 Plus or want it? Basically, if you have a Samsung TV or a TV that supports HDR10 Plus but not Dolby Vision, then you would benefit from HDR10 Plus. I can explain the differences in that in a moment. But that's literally the only difference. When it comes to smart home, HomeKit, and specifically Thread/Matter support, you are not getting anything additional with the new Apple TV as opposed to last year's Apple TV. Again, talking about the high-end model, the $150 model specifically from this year. So unless you want HDR10 Plus and you know that's something you want, I really don't think there is a great reason to upgrade your Apple TV. If you bought last year's model, you have Thread, you have Matter, you have Dolby Vision. Unless you need HDR10 Plus, I don't think you need to upgrade this year. If you want to, and you think that slightly faster processor is going to help play Sneaky Sasquatch, which maybe my kids would enjoy, I don't know. But that's really the only other benefit. The biggest difference, and what makes it confusing, is the entry-level Apple TV for $130, which is one of the new ones, does not have Thread support. And I think that's what caused some of the issues. And some people thought, does last year's model have Thread or not? So just to be clear, if you bought last year's Apple TV model, unless you want HDR10 Plus specifically, and I'll explain that in a second, then I don't think you need to upgrade. Andrew, have I explained that properly, you think?
Yes, there are two other small changes that are worth mentioning. So okay. The high-end model also has increased storage compared to last year. So if you are someone who, again, like stores a lot of games or apps on your Apple TV, that can definitely be a benefit to have, 128 gigs on the high-end model, Stephen? Yeah, so 64 on base, 128 on high-end. And then the other change is USB-C on the Siri remote. So if you are reading those tea leaves, you're going with Joswiak, who is saying that iPhone is switching to USB-C, and you want to start phasing out Lightning, go for it. But those are your other differences there with the high-end one. I also did a video, which I don't know if you had linked in that last one, the last time that we went through all these differences, Stephen, but I do have like a video where I walk through all the differences from last year's model, and then I walk through the differences between these two models, and then go through recommendation stuff at the end.
Very good. Well, I will include that. Look at all these videos you got on here, man. It's like, do you even know you have a child? What's happening? What is, let's
oh, no, I was talking to, here it is. This is unrelated, but I was talking to another video creator, a pretty big one, and he does a bit less video, and he was like, how do you do so many videos? And he was like, you don't have a kid, do you? And I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, well, once you have a kid, you'll realize. And, Harrison shows up the middle of like launch season. So yes. I took a photo yesterday. I'm literally like in my chair trying to edit one-handed with him over my shoulder. Wow. Like just moving between my keyboard shortcuts and everything. Yes. Baby in tow. But welcome. Yeah, that's it now.
That's what happens. I've already had to tell my kids to be quiet as we were recording this very show because they were making noise out there and I could hear it in here. So yes, welcome to that. So real quick, if you're wondering what is the deal with HDR10 versus HDR10 Plus versus Dolby Vision. So TVs, 4K obviously is like, you want to make sure you have 4K. HDR allows for that like brighter picture and better high dynamic ratio is what it's called. So, you get a wider range of dynamics of brightness and higher contrast. And the difference between HDR like regular and the two standards, Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus, is if you have those enabled, meaning your TV has it and your Apple TV has it, then as you watch a movie or TV show, your TV will actually adjust brightness per scene. And so sometimes HDR, just like straight HDR, will be either too bright or too dark, depending on the scene, your environment, and all that. And so what Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus will do is live adjust kind of the overall brightness and contrast, depending on the content that's on screen. And I will say from my own experience, you can listen to, it was 6 or 7 episodes ago when I was dealing with motion smoothing on my TCL TV and I couldn't use Dolby Vision for a while. I will say it is a noticeable difference when you talk about HDR versus not, and then again versus like Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus versus HDR. I do find it a significant difference, especially if you're watching movies where there's very dark scenes. Even streaming, like if you stream from Disney Plus and on Apple TV, you'll see Dolby Vision supported in a lot of those streaming applications. And I do think it is a marked difference. And you don't have to have an expensive TV to have that feature. Just look for Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus. I have Dolby Vision on my TCL TV, but HDR10 Plus does that same thing, that live adjusting the contrast and brightness as you watch a piece of content, depending on what's on screen. And so if you want that, the HDR10 Plus is it only Samsung brands that use it? Is there any other brand that uses HDR10 Plus?
Yeah, there's others.
Okay. So there are. I think Samsung is like kind of the biggest one. Like if you buy LG, you buy TCL, those are all Dolby Vision, and you won't see both. Like you won't see Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus typically on TVs because it's doing the same thing. It's the same kind of technology. But that's what HDR10 Plus does. So if you have a TV with Dolby Vision and you have last year's Apple TV 4K, which is also Dolby Vision supported, then you really get no benefit from HDR10 Plus. If you're running Dolby Vision on your TV and your Apple TV already from last year's model, there is no benefit to getting HDR10 Plus. That is only a benefit if you have a TV that does not have Dolby Vision as a feature, namely Samsung televisions, and you want that dynamically changing brightness and contrast. That's what HDR10 Plus is, and that's what the new Apple TV affords, is that HDR10 Plus on TVs that support that directly. So if you have Dolby Vision TV, you have last year's Apple TV model, like that's not like HDR10 Plus is not a reason to upgrade, like because you're not going to benefit from it. Have I explained that well, you think? That works? I
think so. If you want a little bit more background on, I should have just made a Steven joke. If you want a little bit more color on HDR and the different programs. So basically there's like HDR. There's just HDR/HDR10. That's like the open standard. And the thing with regular just HDR/HDR10 is as free to use. It's open standard. And the requirements are minimal and they're very broad. So it allows like people to claim almost like anything as HDR. It's poor. It's not great. So that's why you can see like monitors. Monitors are a whole different thing going on. But if you look at a monitor, it'll be like, oh yeah, this is an HDR monitor for like $300 or $200, and it'll have like a peak brightness of like 300 nits or something stupid. And it's like, good. Oh my gosh. And then you have like the studio display that has like, it's like 600 or something nits, and it's still not HDR. And yet it is brighter with more contrast than most of these HDR monitors. So regular HDR10, just it's open standard and very broad, not great HDR content. It can be great if someone's like really like trying to get the best HDR, but it can also be very bad. So you can get a lot of cheap TVs with HDR. That's not great. HDR10 Plus is a royalty-free standard for HDR that was partially developed by Samsung. So the idea here, of course, is money. And Dolby Vision has been the gold standard for HDR, but it is proprietary and licensed and certified through Dolby. And they have a very stringent set of requirements and criteria that sets must meet to be certified for Dolby Vision. So that's why being the gold standard, why you see it on higher end sets, why you see it from Apple with the new iPhones that can shoot in Dolby Vision, just because it's the best that you can do. And then you have Samsung, who said, I don't want to pay for it, so I'm going to make a competing standard called HDR10 Plus. So it's royalty free, so they don't have to pay for it, and neither does anyone else who wants to support it. But it's still not quite as good as Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision still ekes it out in a few different categories. Slightly better tone mapping, slightly better peak brightness minimums. They do a little bit better than HDR10 Plus, but HDR10 Plus is very, very good. So the last several years, Samsung has put off supporting HDR officially for a while, and now that HDR10 Plus is out, they're supporting it. So if you have a Samsung TV, you wanted HDR, you're going to have HDR10 Plus on it and not Dolby Vision. Apple TV didn't support that, so it's basically just a regular version of HDR. And like you said, you're going to get that dynamic HDR is what they call it, where it can adjust per scene and everything like that. So yeah, but of course it just goes back to money. Just HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, competing standard, one's free, one's paid. Samsung didn't want to pay, and they wanted more margin out of the products.
That's it. Good explanation. All right, so I wanted to talk about this VOCOlinc floor lamp. I said I was getting it last week, and it was on the way, and so I got it. I'm going to show a couple pictures here if you are watching on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. This is the VOCOlinc floor lamp, RGB, and got the box, and it was suspicious how small the box was when I received this floor lamp. And so, because I ordered the Hue Signe floor lamp months ago, and that comes in a very long box because it's a very tall lamp. This was supposedly very tall, but came in a very small box. And lo and behold, as I opened the box, everything is in parts. Like it is a build-your-own floor lamp project here.
It's a light strip. That's brilliant.
It is. So basically, this VOCOlinc floor lamp, it is a LED light strip. And so you can see this picture if you're watching on YouTube. I'll put it as the chapter art if you're listening. But it basically has a small, like an LED strip that comes in a bag. And it's the same kind of LED strip you might get with like an Eve light strip or like a cheap light strip, basically. And it comes that in a separate little bag. And then it has the plastic cylindrical tube that makes the floor lamp. You have to put those pieces together to make it long. You literally, like the LED strip literally has a sticky on the back, and you stick that into this groove that is cut out on the cylindrical pieces. And then once you put that LED strip in, it comes with this like opaque rubbery finish. What's that?
Diffuser.
Yes, the diffuser. It's like this rubbery material. And then that basically lays on top of the LED strip across, the entire length of the lamp. And then comes a little cap. You screw it into this base, you plug it into the wall, and now you have your RGB table or floor lamp. Now, I was like, okay, listen, build it yourself. This is, again, compared to the Signe floor lamp, which is over $300, this being only like $50, $60 or something, or maybe it was even cheaper, $40. Like, I totally get, okay, build it yourself. Not like, that's not a problem. Like, it's okay. But after I built it, I added it to HomeKit. No problem there. There's a HomeKit code right on the little charger there. Once I plugged it in and turned it on, it was abundantly clear it is not bright. This thing is like, and I'm not talking, this is like the brightness level of this floor lamp is not conducive to any of the situations I was hoping to use it. So as you can see behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, that color on the back wall, some of it is provided by the Hue floor lamp. And so it's this teal color right here. And so I will turn that off so our listeners can see what it looks like when I disable that. And so when I turn that off, you'll see my whole background, you lost a bunch of color. Like it dimmed and it is now lifeless and almost dead, and you can still get some color from the Eve flare back here. And I got a hue the Hue bloom down here. So you still get a little color there. But when I turn the Signe lamp back on, look at that. Look at all that color. So I was hoping to show the VOCOlinc on camera and show you what it does, but it literally does nothing visible. And so I put the two floor lamps side by side, and I turned the Hue one off, turned the VOCOlinc on, and on my background, like you could not see any color. That it was not bright enough to show any color on the back wall. So then I moved it elsewhere in the room just to try and see like, okay, well, where can I use this? Because you can change the color. It lights up. You know, you can program it in HomeKit to be different colors and different scenes. But anywhere that I put it, it really did not provide enough light to be useful. And so while I love the idea of this, it is really more of a visual accent as a lamp itself than casting light onto a wall or other object. Really, the only time it would be really visible is if you were in a pitch black room and you wanted this one lamp to shine color on a single wall, then you would see it, or if it was very, very dark. But if there's any other light in the room, the VOCOlinc floor lamp just does not shine bright enough to be useful, especially in the situation that I'm in. And my studio is not like bright right now. You know, the camera, it's like an f2 stop, and I have this big dome light, which is at like 9% brightness. It's an Amaran 200X. So like the office right now is not super bright, which allows for that back wall to look colorful because the Hue Signe floor lamp, it gives off plenty of brightness. That's at 75% brightness right now. And so if I were to turn up the Hue Signe lamp to 100, you can see it got a little brighter. It's, it's kind of blurred out, but it's pretty harsh if I actually try to like turn it up. And if I turn it down to like, that's 50%. That's 37% on the Hue Signe floor lamp. If the VOCOlinc was like this, this is like what it showed. So it's unfortunate. It's not brighter than it is. Again, it is much cheaper. The Hue Signe lamp is over $300. This was pretty inexpensive compared to that. But it's really, if you just want the visual appeal of this lamp that throws a color, fine. But if you want to like bounce it off a wall or something, it is not going to provide the color and brightness that you want. So I really wanted to love it. I really wanted this to be kind of another use in the studio here, but it is just not. So good, nice price point, but just not bright enough for use. So that's it. Any questions?
I think you had higher expectations, because there's two different types of lights that people have to realize and be aware of. Is there's indirect lighting and direct lighting, right? I mean, you can get into other types like functional versus ambiance, but it's like direct and indirect. So direct lights are ceiling lights, key lights, anything that's like, facing essentially into the room. Then there's the indirect lights. For me, it's the Hue Iris that's back, again, casting a glow on the wall. It is your Signe lamps that you have behind you. Those are hitting the walls. This was very specifically a like into the room direct light. Like all of the marketing material for this, it's facing the people. It's facing into the room, not facing a wall. This is not intended to cast light to a wall. So yeah, no. if that was the purpose, this will not work. No. It's meant to face into the room and provide that ambiance, that lighting. When it's facing in, I think you get more of that effect because you actually see the light bar and you can see the colors, and it can tint the room a little bit more that way. But if you look at like the gradient Signe floor lamp and table lamps, they're all facing the walls. Like they're you see black or white because they face straight at the wall, and then all the light is painted behind them. So I think just two different styles of lights. I'm still not mad at that for $50. I still wouldn't mind picking one up. I think they could still be a lot of fun. You put them in the corner of a room and add some color to it, but you don't face it towards the wall. And I think you're okay.
Yeah, and it does sync to music and stuff. Like it has a built-in mic, and so if you play music, you can use the VOCOlinc app to put it into like music sync mode, and it will change colors. And like that could be a cool visual experience. But yeah, don't get it to bounce it off a wall. Get it to like stare at it, because that's the brightness.
I wonder, Steven, trying to like, if you kept this or not. If you took out the diffuser, because the diffuser is meant because you're essentially looking at it. So I don't know if you did it without the diffuser, if you would get any more brightness out of it for that. But it's just a possibility.
I might. I will try that. I'll follow up for next week. I'll take it out and disassemble.
If you're not looking at it, then you don't need the diffuser.
Right.
Anyway. So
That's true. Okay. Yeah, I'll try that. I will try that. I also noticed that some colors are brighter than others. You talked about, I think, an LED strip or something that you had gotten before, but like blues and purples are just naturally dimmer, even at 100% brightness, than something like an orange or a yellow. So it makes certain colors just not really, even less usable, I would say. So
for sure, that's always going to be the case with lights. Like you'll notice when you're reading like the light ratings on, not VOCOlinc, but like, Hue or LightX, anything like that. And they'll say like, how many lumens, like 1100 lumens of brightness on natural white, like, because that's going to be your peak brightness in like a natural white light versus anything that's got some color.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of light strips, I do want to mention one other project that I did. I wanted to get a light strip for the headboard of my bed. I had seen like product images where there's like a nice light strip behind a headboard and it provides nice light in the evenings without kind of like direct light. And we have canned lights in our master bedroom and a ceiling fan light, but both of them were kind of harsh. Even like you can turn it down, but they're like in front of you, where the way our bed is set up, like if you're sitting on the bed, the lights are still in front. And it's kind of like, I wanted a even more muted light source. And so I got another one of the Eve light strips, which I love the Eve light strip. I don't know. It's not thread yet, I don't think, but it is very good. It is $50, I think. Let me look at it here. $60.
It's Wi-Fi, so you don't need to have thread.
Right, it is Wi-Fi, and it's plenty responsive. Like you don't have to deal with any of that. You can get extensions for it if you want to. So I got one of those, and we have an Ikea. No, it's not Ikea. I don't know where it's from. Ashley Furniture. But the headboard, it's like these wooden slat kind of looking headboards. And I tried sticking the light strip to the back of the headboard first, because the Eve one comes with a sticker on the back. You can try and stick to it. So I stuck it all on there, spent all the time like pushing it against and holding it. And then it looked great that evening. And then the next morning I woke up and it had fallen down. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I should have known it's not going to stick, because it's not like a hard, flat metal or plastic surface. This is like wood. But I figured I'd try it. So that didn't work. So I wanted to figure, how should I mount this so it's secure and I never have to think about it again? And obviously there needs to be some kind of, I didn't want to do a sticky thing, because I knew any kind of sticky thing would probably not do well. I mean, some glues are made for wood and you could get something like that, but I was like, I don't want to do glue. So I went on Amazon, as you do, and I found these little things. And these are like these small metal clamps, and they're very discreet. They have like just a little screw thing where you can like screw it in to tighten it and clamp it down. And so they come in a pack of 4. I bought one of these packs, and using these clamps, my headboard had a lip where I can use 3 clamps, 2 on the ends, 1 in the middle, tighten it up, holds the light strip super firm. It doesn't really block the light very much at the clamp part, so you don't really notice it. And it's behind you anyway as you're sitting on the bed. But those clamps holding the light strip on, super solid. It's been mounted on there for over a week, and is a nice little nice way to just do that. So if you're looking for a way to secure a light strip or something else, and the sticky solutions are not working, be it sticky strips or glue, these little clamps, they worked pretty well, and I'm glad I got them. That's that.
Yeah, so I had the exact same situation where I put the Eve light strip up on our headboard and it fell off within a day. Right. And it's wood headboard. So yeah, did the same thing, but I ended up with a different solution. I just slacked them to you. These are little LED light strip mounting brackets. Oh. So they're clear, and you close it over top of the light strip and it holds it in place. Makes it easy to remove the light strip if you ever needed to. And they are adhesive. They've got actual 3M adhesive on the back, so you can put them onto things. I used the adhesive, didn't have any issues on my wood headboard. I had issues with the light strip, but with these they worked. But they also come with a pack of 20 little screws, and you can attach these with screws as well. So you have screws or adhesive options with these, and then it still makes it easy to remove the light strip if you ever need to, because it just clips right in. Nice. These are a little cheaper, and you get Is that 100 pack? You get a 100 pack for like $12. So
that's pretty good.
I would also recommend these for in your kitchen if you're mounting anything under your kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
And you want to run like a light strip around. So we have Hue light strips all around our kitchen, providing like, seriously, I don't know how every house doesn't have like lighting on our cabinets, because like when I turn those off, like I can't even see what I'm doing, because like you got like lights like behind you in the kitchen, like usually like in the center or something, or even straight above you. But if you're like on your counter, you got cabinets above you or your body blocking most of the light. It always seems dim. So I don't know how people do it, but I put Hue light strips all around the kitchen on a motion sensor and everything, and they're attached with these guys, and they've never fallen off. They've been great. You can screw them in if you need to.
That's pretty cool. They don't come with the screws, right? You would have to buy those screws. No, they do.
It says 20 screws come in the bag.
Oh, 20 screws in the bag. Look at that. These are pretty sweet. And because it's clear, then the light will shine through the little clip thing. That's pretty cool. I'll put a link to all of that in the show notes. And just a couple listener questions before we go. Long number listener who gave us a 5-star rating. He was asking about Apple TV, HomePod Mini connectivity issues. Again, like we said, iOS 16.2 is coming soon. It's going to be an entirely new backend. So I'll say let's wait for that. Let's see if it solves some of the reliability issues that multiple listeners have been having. And hopefully that will help that later. And then Christopher, who sent us the wonderful pronunciations for IKEA.
Dirigera.
And
Fri.
Thank you, Christopher. He was asking, and I don't think there is an answer to this, but I wanted to ask you, Andrew, is there a way to order the rooms and how they appear in the Home app on the Apple Watch? You can reorder the rooms in the Home app in iOS 16 on your iPhone and your iPad, and you can change the order that they appear in that menu. But on the Apple Watch, it does not appear that you can reorder it, and it is not syncing with the iPhone. So if you change the room order on your iPhone, it doesn't always seem to sync on the Apple Watch. Do you know, I don't know if there is a way, but do you know if there is a way to reorder rooms in the Apple Watch Home app?
No, I don't think there is. I also have like weird orders. Like it puts like my garage first, so it's not like even alphabetical or anything. It is not a sensible order. But I also don't use it that often. I usually use the favorites list because I have my most common one used there, or I use the cameras, or I'm just using Siri on my watch. So I hadn't really noticed this until Christopher had mentioned it. And I go and look. I'm like, yeah, those are in a weird order. I don't even know why they are in the order that they're in. It's not alphabetical. It's not the Home app. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I do think, I'm looking at mine right now. I'm looking in the Home app on my iPhone and then on my Apple Watch. Mine do appear to be synced. So like I have family room and, oh, actually, no, they're not synced. Just kidding. They're different. Okay. They were close, but they're not synced exactly. So we're not sure, Christopher. Maybe 16.2, we'll see. Maybe that'll fix it, but don't. So he said it was fine in watchOS 8, and now we're on watchOS 9. So I don't know. Well, I'm sorry about that. Thank you for pronunciations, though. And then last question. This is from Simon. He is asking if there's a way to automate white noise to stop, or sleep sounds to stop playing after a certain amount of time. So if you didn't know, HomePods can play like white noise sounds. It could be rain, it could be ocean, it could just be white noise. Like you can just ask your HomePods to play it, like play such and such sounds, and it will do it. And then you can also program that into scenes and automations. But what he wants to do is when he goes to sleep, that the background sounds start playing, and then after 1 hour, they stop. Now, there is like you can do a wait command. So if you did a shortcut that like kind of took the place of a good night scene, and you can choose your home scene and run that in whatever shortcut you create, and you can do a wait command, and you can try and put that wait step as very long, like 60 minutes, which would be 3,600 seconds. Be a long time to program that in the shortcut. But you can try a wait command and see if then you can do a pause HomePod after that amount of time, after the wait command. I know, but once you get wait commands that are that long, they tend to not be as reliable. So he said he tried an automation where like it's triggered by a certain time, but he didn't see a timer option, and yeah, I guess he had struggle doing that. So I don't know. Do you have a best practice maybe to program something to stop playing at a certain time, like pause a HomePod?
No, I haven't messed around with this too much. I mean, a lot of the stuff sounds all good in theory, but it's what's actually working in practice that's going to matter. And I have not tested anything like this. I haven't tried those. I mean, obviously, like you said, they do have that built-in sleep timer functionality, and he said he tried it and it just ignored it. Maybe obviously a bug there of some sort, but I don't have anything other like specific tricks to try until I kind of try something out.
Because you can do an automation at a certain time. So you could say like at 4 a.m. turn it off. But he was saying sometimes he goes to bed a little late and he likes it playing for an hour. And so if you go to bed at 3:30, maybe you're binge watching Severance or something, and then you need more than just the 4 a.m. stop time. So I would maybe set up an automation that just says at 5 a.m. every day, stop this HomePod so it's not going like into the morning hours. But if any of our listeners have a recommendation on this, or if you've set it up where it will automatically stop playing after an hour or after a set amount of time, but not a specific time like 4 a.m., let us know. And you can tweet at Andrew, myself, or send us a message. You can let us know what you did there. It'd be helpful. And of course, you should subscribe to the HomeKit Insider YouTube channel, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can see Andrew's child. That was at the top of the show. And then also the different pictures show throughout this. And of course, give us a 5-star rating. You can even ask us your question. And if you give us a 5-star rating, let us know your name and where you're from in the review, so then we can give you a shout out by name and not a long number, although we'll take the long number review as well. But it'd be nice to say name, if you know what I mean. And thank you, Christopher, once again for the IKEA pronunciations. We'll be using those in the future if we talk about that hub again. But thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.